Hi, and welcome to Oral Drill Practice with Heather. In this video, we'll practice reported speech. First, let's briefly talk about how to use these drills. Learn the rules first. These oral drills are meant to reinforce new grammatical structures, but if you don't understand the grammar, you might need to go back and review it. When you're ready to begin, listen and repeat after me. After that, you can try repeating again a little faster and with contractions. For example, instead of saying I would, you can say I'd to sound more natural. And finally, you can pause the video and repeat on your own as many times as you like. Okay, let's get started. He said he was hungry. He said he had a lot of homework. He said he worked in a factory. He said he lived nearby. He said he didn't like it. Your turn. Pause the video here and practice as many times as you like. She told me she was hungry. She told me she had a lot of homework. She told me she worked in a factory. She told me she lived nearby. She told me she didn't like it. Your turn. Pause and practice. He said he was going home. He said he was coming to the party. He said he was feeling tired. He said he was doing the work. He said he was having a meeting. Your turn. Pause and practice. She told me she would help. She told me she would come over. She told me she would try that. She told me she would make something. She told me she would be busy. Pause and practice. Let's try the same ones using contractions. She told me she'd help. She told me she'd come over. She told me she'd try that. She told me she'd make something. She told me she'd be busy. Pause and practice. He said he had done his homework. He said he had taken the course. He said he had met her before. He said he had seen the presentation. He said he had not cheated. Pause and practice. Let's try these again using contractions. He said he'd done his homework. He said he'd taken the course. He said he'd met her before. He said he'd seen the presentation. He said he hadn't cheated. Your turn. Pause and practice. She told me she had been to China. She told me she had seen that movie. She told me she had done the work. She told me she had worked there. She told me she had not read that book. Pause and practice. Let's try these same ones using contractions. She told me she'd been to China. She told me she'd seen that movie. She told me she'd done the work. She told me she'd worked there. She told me she hadn't read that book. Your turn. Pause and practice.